Welcome to Dualshock'd, the Brotherhood of Geeks PlayStation podcast. I am one of your hosts, Brett J. Rasmussen, and over here I got my other co-host.
Matador Blaze.
Andale? Arriba?
Yes.
Arriba!
Well, see, I'm trying to keep it fresh. I'm not going to use the same one every time.
But you're still Guru Blaz.
Yeah.
That's
But
I still know you as Guru.
Right. Well, that's the main one. This is another way that we could keep things fresh, because then it'll be just a new thing every time. Show you just how interesting I actually am.
I'm surprised that you're not in a bull rider, not bull rider.
Bull rider?
I don't know.
They don't ride the bulls.
Matador outfit, whatever.
Well, those are expensive.
Oh, I thought you have the money though.
Yeah, well, doesn't mean I like to spend it on things that I need. It's not the outfit who makes the man,
It's the man who makes the outfit?
Exactly.
Oh, well, great.
Because if Matadors wore, jeans and a white shirt since antiquity and, established a reputation, then that would be the Matador outfit. So
that would definitely be good. Yes. That would definitely be good. But how you been doing, Blaze? What's been going on, my man?
Not too much. I've been playing a good deal of Monster Hunter World because I picked that up recently.
Good.
And then I'm playing some more Hitman, and I just picked up Dead or Alive 6.
Ooh, funsies.
Which, it's been quite some time since their new DOA came out, but I'm really liking it. Super solid.
I haven't really played Dead or Alive. It's like I play Soul
I
Calibur.
feel it's a very I know it people know about it, but I feel it's a completely underrated fighting game. It's very good. I think it's very fun. The mechanics are really cinematic and enjoyable. And I don't know. I just think it doesn't get as much recognition as I feel it should.
What do you like most about Dead or Alive? Because you say that I guess it's very niche. I'm guessing.
Yeah, in a sense, I like the depth of its combat while still being able to retain the cinematic aspect of the fluid movements. Each character having different abilities. And in this one, they've introduced, some new, special moves that are really easy to pull off.
Okay.
But, obviously there's pros and cons to, using them, and you want to use them strategically. And it just comes together to make a very satisfying, solid fighting game. The environment plays a part. There's danger zones that increase damage. You can knock people off of things in different levels on platforms.
Okay.
And I personally think it's really fun.
Okay, well, yeah. I mean, again, I haven't really played that one because the fighting games that appeal to me is Soul Calibur. That has been my go-to since forever.
I love Soul Calibur too.
Soul Calibur, the NetherRealm games, so Mortal Kombat, Injustice. I have learned how to play Street Fighter from my best buddy. Where he's a massive Street Fighter fan. He would play competitively, at EVO or in competitions and beat people for money playing Street Fighter. So,
you can do it.
Oh yeah. But really, I love just the easy inputs of Soul Calibur and Mortal Kombat / Injustice, because both those two games play similarly yet different to each other, which is great. Love that. But yeah, so for me, I have been playing Anthem. Yep, I've been playing Anthem because we're going to be reviewing that game today. Yep. I'll be talking about that game later on when we get to the main topic.
As if your tone doesn't just say it all.
Yeah.
Well, we might as well move on from that.
What?
We got to move on from
Okay. I'm sorry. I fell.
We'll have plenty to
fell
say.
down a hole really hard.
We'll have plenty to say about it.
Oh, boy. Oh, yes.
Is that your mating call?
No.
Just go out into the woods.
No, if I go out into the woods, I would just go.
Yeah. I'm gonna go out into the woods and not play Anthem.
That sounds like a good idea. That sounds like a good plan.
I feel like climbing a tree today, he said after playing Anthem.
I would probably have more fun climbing a tree.
Hey, I have fun climbing trees.
I know you do, Guru.
They're great, dude.
Yeah, that's how you...
It's underrated.
That's how you you learn your ninja powers.
Exactly.
How to beat people in fighting games by climbing trees.
Exactly. Like, if you're in the middle of a fight and you just run up a tree, dude, no...
How you gonna get me, man?
It's like, yeah, I have the high ground. I can do some... I can jump down on you, flying kick, whatever.
Dude who has a low ground just pulls out a chainsaw and cuts down that tree. What are you gonna do then?
Yeah, but the thing is, even if he were to do that, he would have to stay in one place while using it, which means that he would be at a disadvantage because I could literally just drop on top of him because he would have to, by definition, be close to the tree. And he also has a bladed weapon, so if I move him in the wrong way, it would end right there. So.
Look at you knowing stuff. Okay. Well, then, let's go ahead and get this going. Let's begin with News of the Nation. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. All right, but let's begin. First that I have here. This is coming from Epic Games' own website. Fortnite World Cup and other 2019 events share a $100 million prize pool. The upcoming Fortnite World Cup and other Fortnite events are taking place across 2019 will share a $100 million prize pool. The lead up to the Fortnite World Cup includes 10 weekly online open qualifiers from April 13th of 2019 to June 16th of 2019. Each week, $1 million will be on the line for eligible Fortnite players with broadly distributed payouts. The top 100 solo players and the top 50 duo teams, so tag teams of two, worldwide will take part in the finals in New York City from July 26th to 28th of 2019. A $30 million prize pool is up for grabs at the tournament. Excuse me. Each participant will be guaranteed at least $50,000, while the Solo Cup champion will earn a very nice $3 million. For non-Battle Royale players, Epic Games is hosting additional events at the World Cup Finals with custom challenges. Epic will continue to award $1 million in cash tournaments weekly throughout 2019.
Jesus.
So yeah!
It's gotta be nice to have that much money.
Well, I mean, everyone buying those camos and skins and dances and stuff.
Well, it still boggles my mind that that's solely what is that much money is made from. I mean, I guess if enough people play it, yeah, but it's like, how much money did they make last year? How many billion?
I think it was oh god, I think it was 80. It was. Because
you got to realize
ridiculous.
that with only around 7 billion-ish people in the world, even if everyone, it's many times over if everyone in the world were to have bought one thing.
Yeah.
For $1.
Mm-hmm.
And it's ridiculous.
It's crazy. Because I know you've been playing Apex Legends. What kind of sets Fortnite and Apex because what I've heard is that Apex is more competitive while Fortnite is kind of more malleable to...
I honestly feel it's the exact opposite.
Really?
Yeah, I feel that Fortnite is far more competitive, mainly because it's not team-based. Even if you were to, because in Apex you have a 3-person team, there's rumors of them adding solo and duos, but the farthest I've get, when I get far, it's because you work with your team. Even if you don't know them, especially if they have a chat mic, then you can actually coordinate.
Yeah. And
I feel that it's much more based around team play, because Fortnite's main attraction was the solo battle royale mode, and it still is. That's what's offering the most money at those tournaments, whatever. So, in my opinion, I feel that Apex is far more malleable in the sense that there's just more to it. There's more weapon choice and variety. There's modifications you pick up for weapons while you're playing. Fortnite ripped the ping system and used it.
They did?
Yeah, in Season 8, dude, there's a lot of changes.
Wow. They just saw Apex come out from out of nowhere. I'm like, oh, great.
Yeah.
We'll do what we did before to PUBG and steal that.
And it's not something I didn't expect, but it's also I like the look of it better. I like the mechanics of Apex better. The characters having unique abilities offers another element of strategy, whereas in Fortnite, and in a sense, it's not a bad thing that like everyone is equal in Fortnite, because nothing you get other than what you find in game will give you an advantage over another player.
Mm-hmm.
But there's also, because of that, it's stale. Like there's really like it's the same guns. I mean, they might add new stuff, and they added the sword and then took it away because it was too powerful. It's just like, and they also removed planes because people didn't like them. And I'll never say that they don't listen to their fan base. I'm not saying like they're making a bad product. Like for what they're doing, like they're doing for the fans of the franchise.
Yeah.
But with Apex, I just find it innately more fun to play because there's so much more variety in the gameplay itself. There's more options because of how the abilities work, different guns, the fact that the sliding mechanics, just the way that you move around. In addition to the fact that I like the look of it far better, the aesthetic is much more my speed.
Because Titanfall, yeah.
Right. Well, and there's also rumors they might add mechs, which would be nuts.
And then I'm all in.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great. Yeah. But yeah, I just kind of wanted to bring that up. So if you guys are playing Fortnite competitively and you want to get better and you want to play for money, bam, you can go to Epic Games' own website to get full details and continue all that kind of stuff. But let's continue. Next topic. THQ apologizes for hosting an AMA on 8chan.
Poor decision.
This was... Yeah, so this is coming from IGN. THQ Nordic, publisher of the Darksider series, one of my favorite franchises, apologizes for hosting an Ask Me Anything on 8chan, a site blacklisted by Google for, quote, suspected child abuse content. The official THQ Nordic Twitter account revealed that on February 26th, they would be doing an AMA on 8chan, adding, quote, we have no idea why. From THQ Nordic, this was the tweet that it said, quote, the opportunity was here and we took it. We got approached in a very friendly and polite manner and were assured said person, shout out to Mark, will take care of the nasty stuff. So here we are. But that tweet has since been deleted. PR and marketing director Philip Brock then officially apologized on Twitter. Quote, I personally agreed to this AMA without doing my proper due diligence to understand the history and controversy of this site. I'm terribly sorry for the short-sightedness of my decision. This was not about being edgy. This blew up, and I very much regret to have done it in the first place. End quote.
I mean, yeah, I had heard about that, and it's. I mean, he pretty much. There's really not even much to say because really, like, he already realized that it was a mistake because it's essentially just like it's like an even more depraved version of 4chan, essentially.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, it was. Like I said, he doesn't even give a reason for doing it. Like, they don't know. Like, I mean, and he says it's not to be edgy, and that may have been the case, but it's like. There's got to be some alternative reason other than just doing an AMA in general that you chose that as the platform to do it on. Mm-hmm. And
do you think they honestly didn't know? Do you honestly think that they didn't know?
I think it's possible. It's very because I bet that barely. I bet no. I mean, it's not like 8chan is like hugely popular in mainstream culture or anything.
I mean, mind you,
they may just have not known anything about it, but it's like. I want to know if someone must have found it and been able to like put two and two together by either surfing it and no one looked at anything like if they didn't research it all, they just said, "Oh, that looks good." But it's like again, why would you choose to put out an AMA on a platform that barely anybody knows about as far as like mainstream gaming culture in the first place? In addition to the fact that there's so many negatives associated with it. Mm-hmm. Whether or not that was known at the time is kind of irrelevant because it's like, well, how many people do you feel you were going to reach? Why don't you just go on to Reddit like everyone else? Like that's that's where AMAs started. Like, Reddit is where people go, like, anyone. Like, if they do an AMA, like, they'll go to Reddit in almost all cases, because it's just a bigger, more known platform.
Yeah, I think it was just one of those things where, like, they even said that they were asked. So it's not like they chose. Like, they went out, like, THQ
Oh, they were
Nordic.
asked by you?
Yeah, they were asked.
Oh,
it said,
I wasn't aware of that.
Yeah, it's...
Okay, well, then that explains why
Yeah,
they
it
did
says, we have no idea why. From THQ Nordic. This is from the tweet that was deleted before. This is the tweet. It says, the opportunity was here, and we took it. We got approached in a very friendly and polite manner, and we were assured that said person, shout out to Mark, will take care of the nasty stuff. So here we are. So they were approached by, I guess, Mark from here, and that's why they did it. They were approached to do it on there. But then,
well, in that case, then I suppose, yeah, then maybe like they may have not known, because in like the way that they were, because I don't know the motives of whoever approached them, if they were, you know, good intentions that, you know, just were inevitably going to be ruined because of the platform they were on, or if it was a part of the plan to start with, like as just a big troll, which also would definitely be a possibility.
Yeah.
And I suppose it's just like, yeah, like he said, they should have done research before just agreeing to this random, you know, like despite how polite it may or may not have been, you should still do your research.
Yeah.
If it's going to be, you know, something as important as talking directly to your fan base.
Yeah.
Because that's about as important as it gets.
Oh, yeah. I mean, mind you, I don't know about 8chan. I've heard,
I personally haven't used it, but I used to go on 4chan all the time, and it's essentially a similar type of site. It's just a forum, but it's like, again, yeah, they just got a bunch of, like, you know, really screwed up stuff on there, and it's just, it's a very, whether or not it would be intentional, it's a very toxic portion of the internet.
Yeah.
And that's just not where you want to have an AMA.
Yeah, no, I definitely...
At least not if you're a big company like that.
No, yeah. I mean, for me, I've never been to... I've been to 4chan. I know about 4chan. I've heard about it, but I've never, like, gone there.
It's basically where memes were birthed.
Oh, really?
That's
okay.
essentially where all that kind of thing, like the modern incarnation, like basic picture-based memes and those kinds of, that kind of like internet culture as well. I mean, there's different parts of it, like, you know, it's more than the sum of its parts.
Yeah.
But basically, yeah, it kind of developed out of 4chan, which is also based off of something called 2chan, which is the Japanese forum site, which is kind of like the original, and then 4chan was created by Christopher Moot, when, you know, and to basically be the same thing, and then it kind of evolved from there.
Yeah.
And so I assume, I had never heard of 8chan till now, but that's just another incarnation. Just all it is a very simple, like, you know, anonymous forum posting website.
From what I kind of looked into this a little bit more, but from what I've heard, or like the reason why 8chan existed is because 4chan started to be heavily monitored by like the admin, so 8chan became more like, you know, you would have that, like, you know, those horrible people on 4chan, and then it started to become heavily monitored.
There was always like an old joke that like there was a cancer in 4chan at a certain point, and it was just like ruining it. So like basically, that's
it became heavily monitored.
And I haven't been on it in many years, so I mean I've seen it recently. Like, you know, and it's essentially still the same look and setup, but yeah, I mean, it's you know, it depends on where you go.
Yeah, and I think that's what 8chan became. It's
like the tumor that fell off of 4chan and just started to grow into its own.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think that was. They really THQ Nordic.
It was just poor judgment.
It was poor judgment. They should have looked into it. They should have done more. They should have looked into it. But it doesn't change my. I love THQ Nordic. I'm still very big fan.
It's not like they're bad guys. Because they basically didn't. You know, I mean, they were like, you know, like reckless and foolish to not research further into where they're going to try to represent themselves to their fans. But they're not like bad people, because they ended up being on a site that's full of bad people.
And they even said, like, right away, they're like, oh, we messed up. We apologize for that. So on and so forth. And we're going to do...
Yeah, they're owning their mistake. Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to be mad about it.
Yeah, of course. So, yeah. So, good on them. Again, I look forward to more THQ Nordic content, and I look forward to the next Darksiders. All right, let's move on. Next topic. The next free PlayStation Plus games are for March 2019. Sony has now revealed that for March of 2019, the 2 games that we're going to be getting on the PS4 is going to be the first-person shooter Call of Duty Modern Warfare Remastered, which will be able to be played in 4K on the PS4 Pro, and The Witness, which is a first-person puzzle game that's set on a mysterious island, and it was made by Braid creator Jonathan Blow. Both of these games will be available to download from March 5th to April 1st of 2019. So yeah, I know you know about Call of Duty.
I've never heard of The Witness until...
Really?
Yeah, I've never...
It was shown off like during when they kind of like premiered the PS4, like during like the launch date. It's pretty much on this like weird, like it's all in first person, and it's like you're on this like island and you will create puzzles in order to get out of the island.
Wait, is that the one where you draw lines?
Yeah!
Oh, okay, then I have seen like a trailer of it.
Yeah.
Actually, I want to download that. That was what I was actually thinking of. Like, was this like, is that the one? Because I forgot what it was called.
Yeah, this is coming from the PlayStation blog. It's from the developer of the charming puzzle platformer Braid. Back in 2008, creator Jonathan Blow promptly returned to the drawing board and spent the next 8 years working on The Witness, the ambitious follow-up. It came out in 2016, so 2 years ago.
Download that later then.
Yep.
Because that sounds like fun.
Oh yeah, like that definitely.
And I'm gonna download Call of Duty just because why not? I have the space.
Yeah, no, that's. I mean, again, I always say, even if there's a game that you don't care about or whatever, just add it to your library. It doesn't take up any of your hard drive space.
And then if you're ever interested,
and if you ever want to test it or play it, you can download it.
It's basically like, you won't lose the potential to get it for free after the month goes by if you don't happen to play it in that time.
Exactly. That's why every single month I just add it all to my library. I have like over 150 PlayStation Plus games just from the PS4. Which, by the way, if you guys still have a Vita and PS3, the games from February are still up. These will be gone by March 8th, which is Dive Kick for the PS3 and cross-buy with Vita, Metal Gear Solid 4 Guns of the Patriots for the PS3, Gunhouse on the Vita, and Rogue Aces for the Vita. So, those are going to be the last ones, and then with once March 8th comes by, there will be no more Vita and PS3 games. So now it's only 2 of them. How do you feel about that? Because it looks like they just now, instead of like getting like 6 games, it's only 2. And really,
yeah, I don't know. Like when they decided to change that, I don't know why. I mean, there's probably some money related reason or something along those lines. Mm-hmm. I mean, I always would like to have the choice to download more free games.
Yeah.
But it's like, I can't really say, like, it's just because, like, I want more games and don't want to spend as much money. So it's not like I can say it's like, I mean, it's a bad decision, I guess, because it goes against what I would want. But, I mean, I don't mind if it's less games, but they're, like, 2 bigger, higher quality games. Like, they had For Honor and Hitman last month.
Yeah.
So it's like, if you're giving out, like, AAA titles or thereabouts in less quantity, as opposed to a greater quantity of lesser games, mm-hmm. or like not that they're like worse games, but they're not as
they're not part of the AAA space,
right?
Like a lot of indies, and then maybe like
right.
one of these AAA or
I
AA
could see
games.
that as being an even exchange, But then it's also like there's a lot of indie games and stuff that I feel like like that I might not find out about otherwise.
Yeah,
and like I would try it out.
Yeah, I think like. Because you have The Witness, which was, it's like that, like, I would say that AA where it's like, it's promoted by PlayStation, but it's not part of the AAA space, right. That kind of thing.
Yeah.
Where then you have Modern Warfare, which, it's Call of Duty!
End of story.
There you go. So, yeah, but if you haven't already, go ahead and add them to your library, and then if you want to play them, download them, but always just anytime, every first of the month or, the beginning of the month happens, just add it to your library and you'll be able to play them as long as you have Plus, which is absolutely great. So, yeah. Let's move on. Next topic. Kingdom Hearts 3 director confirms DLC is now in the works. Director Tetsuya Nomura has confirmed both free and paid DLC for Kingdom Hearts 3 are being worked on right now. From Japanese publication Dengeki Online, Nomura revealed that free DLC would likely come to the game as incremental updates. One such update might include a critical mode, which is a critical mode difficulty level. Paid DLC will be larger and possibly grouped together to be released before the end of 2019, which would give more to the story. And I believe he has kind of like teased that one of the DLCs is going to be telling more about one of the members of Organization 13, along with filling in the plot holes that are in Kingdom Hearts 3 from the base game, which we've even talked about on our review. Mm-hmm. So, what do you think about that?
I mean, I'm down for a free update. I haven't played it since I beat it, I'll be honest.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not because I don't like it or anything, but yeah, if like there was added content, I might be like want to go back. It's because I played it like, for the story and it was fun combat, but it's not a game that I just, play as a, I want to sit down and play a game I haven't beaten yet kind of thing. Mm-hmm. Not a game like, I don't know. If there's more story added to it, I would definitely revisit it.
Okay, yeah. I mean, for me, I love Kingdom Hearts 3 was fantastic.
Oh, it's a phenomenal game. Like, don't get me wrong. It's just like once I beat a game like that, it's not something I don't really have like as much of an incentive to just go back and play it. Like if I'm going to play a game with combat, I have like other choices that I would rather go with for that kind of fix. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of mulled over sat down and kind of the story of Kingdom Hearts 3, and I will say like there are a few more problems that I don't think that we even saw when we were reviewing it. But I still stand by what we said in our review, that it's so the combat is so much fun and it looks so good, the graphics and everything. The story, like the pace. The biggest thing about Kingdom Hearts 3 is that the pacing, I think, was the one thing that we missed. Is that the pacing of the game was a bit off, where you're just bumble effing around in the Disney worlds, gaining the power of waking, but then you just do it at the end,
right?
So like
it was within you all along type of thing.
Yeah, and then it just happens. Yeah. And like really like that whole thing, like the pacing is so weird because you have they kind of just slows down when you're in the Disney world. It's not saying it's not fun, because it is, but really like you have the game is just leading up to the last like third of the game. Mm-hmm. It's long and it's amazing, but that last third of the game is the best part in the whole game. But like the Disney worlds kind of felt like they didn't like mesh as well as the past games, where like Jafar is working with the Heartless because he wants his powers, or so on and so forth. Like the Disney villains are like what the Disney villains of the Disney stories fits in with the story that whatever the Heartless are doing, or whatever in Kingdom Hearts 1 and 2 and so on and so forth. So yeah, I look forward to more DLC, and if it fixed some of the plot holes, that'd be great. But let's move on. Next topic: Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order is to be revealed at Star Wars Celebration. This is from the official website of StarWars.com. Star Wars Jedi. I can't talk. Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order will be revealed at this year's Star Wars Celebration in Chicago. An exclusive look of Fallen Order will debut during a special panel on Saturday, April 13th. The panel will feature a discussion revealing never-before-heard details ahead of its fall 2019 release. Fallen Order follows a Padawan that survived Order 66, and takes place shortly after Revenge of the Sith.
Sounds interesting.
So what do you think about that?
I think that if they don't, screw it up, it should be good.
Do you think there's going to be another live service, or do you honestly think this will finally be what we've kind of been asking for?
If it is another live service, then I just feel like someone there has to understand that that's probably not the way to go with like all of the stuff that's been happening with live service games lately, especially with like Anthem. Yeah, it's just probably not a wise decision. I mean, I'm not saying it couldn't be done and still be good, but I feel like a more narrative-driven, campaign-based game for this type of story, from what they've described, would be a wiser course of action. Yeah.
I mean, we still don't know enough about it. It's just we knew the name from E3 2018, and that was it. And then we've just everyone's been speculating about what this game is. Mm-hmm. We even kind of talked about this on our episode of How to Save Star Wars from EA. kind of this game. And even for me, because I've been burned so many times by EA, especially from Star Wars, from Battlefront 1 and 2, I really don't know how I feel about Fallen Order. Like, I'm looking forward to this, because this is a fantastic premise. You are playing as a Padawan that was able to survive Order 66, and it takes place after Revenge of the Sith. So it's like pretty much Anakin has, like, either you're on Coruscant or you're on another planet, and the clones have, like, killed, like, your team, and you're the last survivor. Like, this could be really good. That's a great premise. But we saw in Battlefront 2, the premise is that the main character of Fire Team is that you are survivors during the Battle of Endor at the end of Episode 6, and now you see how the Empire is dealing with that. But then nope, it's just you start off. That's what happens. You do one mission, then all of a sudden you join the good guys for reasons.
Yeah.
You know, so like, and again, it makes sense why this.
I could just, the only thing I can really say is just like, hopefully they've learned from the mistakes they've made.
Well, mind you, I will definitely have to see. I can see EA pushing this game out to make sure it hits a 2019 release date, because this year is Episode 9. Episode 9 comes out this.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Episode 9 comes out this, like, fall or.
What's it called?
We don't know yet.
Oh, okay.
We don't know yet. It's just Episode 9, whatever it is. Like, they've already been working on it and that kind of thing. But it does come out this fall or, winter or whatever.
Sure.
So, as we've seen before, Battlefront 1 and Battlefront 2, they've must meet launch date to go with the movie.
Oh, sure.
And regardless if, like, it's good or not. Which, Battlefront 2, gameplay is good, but its leveling system ruined the whole game. So there's that. So I guess I'll just have to wait to see the trailer.
Yeah,
That's
just
really
a matter
all
of
I feel.
seeing what happens at the time. Like, I mean, I'm not gonna. You can't really make a judgment until I play it.
Yep, I agree. Let's move on. Next topic: Horizon Zero Dawn passes 10 million copies sold. This is coming from the PlayStation blog. Horizon Zero Dawn has officially sold well over 10 million copies worldwide. Guerrilla Games managing director Herman Hulst revealed the number, saying, quote, "We've been deeply moved by the enormous amount of fan creations you've posted online, as well as the heartfelt letters you've sent during your favorite moments from Aloy's journey. Since Horizon's release in 2017, various different updates have been made to the game, and then in July of 2018 it was revealed that Guerrilla Games was expanding the studio in order to make new games faster." So yeah, and I know you've been playing Horizon Zero Dawn.
I mean, and I really like it. I mean, I can totally understand. Like,
oh man, it was one of.
I haven't beaten it yet. Like, but yeah, no. I mean, I've been enjoying. I love. I like. I mean, I like it. The way I can tell. Especially, like, because it has a narrative.
Mm-hmm.
And that's also good. I like the world. Looks gorgeous, all that. But, like, for me, one of the hallmarks of a really good game that I know I truly like is when I can just screw around and not even worry about missions and still have just as good of a time. Even if there wasn't any story. And, like, when I'm not going through story missions, getting cutscenes, that's great. But the fact that I can enjoy the game for hours without that...
Yeah.
is big. When you're like, the core mechanics of a game for me are one of the most important things. Essentially, if you have fun playing a game, ultimately is the main thing that any game is for. There's nothing that's really above that. It doesn't matter if you like this. If you like the story in a game, you're having fun because the story's good.
Good.
So at the end of the day, games are made to have fun with and play and enjoy and be immersed in, and that is a game that definitely hits every mark.
That was in 2017. That was my personal game of the year, like hands down. I loved Horizon Zero Dawn, and it was one of those games where,
and it also just came like from the studio Guerrilla. It just came out of nowhere.
Oh yeah,
it was just like Nier Automata. It just came out of nowhere and was amazing.
No, I would say it's like it's honestly like Naughty Dog's Uncharted.
Yeah.
Like Naughty Dog, like not saying Naughty Dog wasn't taken seriously, but Naughty Dog, you had Crash Bandicoot, which is like the foundation of their legacy, and then you had Jak and Daxter, which there are fans for that, and it's a good game, but it never really
It's like
picked
discount
up.
Ratchet and Clank.
Yeah, and really what put them over the edge was Uncharted. Uncharted is what really put
It's like,
them,
like there's something to pay attention to.
Yeah,
And the
like,
same with Guerrilla. I'm trying to remember what they made prior.
Killzone.
Yeah, and
They
then
made Killzone.
and then they barely did anything since, and then all of a sudden they just come out with this like amazing game.
Yeah, they the game before Horizons was Killzone Shadowfall, and that was like a thing. The thing with that game is that it was really more of a tech demo than anything. The story was just okay.
I never played it, so
The story was just okay. It wasn't bad, but it wasn't like anything to like.
it was
Oh my god!
it was a passable game.
Yeah, it was just a passable game. Like it was fine. But Horizon Zero Dawn, like wow, that game is gorgeous, and that game did so well that Kojima and his studio it worked or is working with Guerrilla Games using the same engine that they built Horizon Zero Dawn under for Death Stranding.
Well, there you go.
So good for that.
If you can get Kojima to want to work with you, I feel like that's probably the hallmark of anything other than owning your own satellite. That's pretty much the hallmark that you've been doing a
You
good
did it.
job. You've reached the top.
You've
to
done it.
Some degree.
You have done it. Oh yeah. No, it's fantastic. I love Horizon Zero Dawn. If you haven't played that game,
No,
go
I'm
buy it.
gonna have to go play more of it.
Go buy it. If
later
you haven't
on
played
now.
that game, go buy it. It is worth your time. Get the complete edition so that way you get everything. It's such a good story.
and it's unique. It's interesting.
It's like for me when I the reason I was so excited for Horizon Zero Dawn was really not because of the story. It was like, oh, big huge robotic dinosaurs. I want to kill the crap out of those things.
Right.
And then like the game, like I love the tutorial because the tutorial is like about 2 to 3 hours, and you're seeing like kind of the childhood of Aloy. So you're experiencing a story.
It's almost like symbolically the tutorial of her life. Like you're learning as you go, like you would with a tutorial where you're basically starting fresh, and then after the time skip, you know every basic thing you need to know.
Exactly.
And it's done in a way where it's like she's being taught while you're learning with her.
Exactly. It's great. It's so good. Go if you haven't bought that game, go buy it. It's so good. Yes, let's move on. Next topic. Borderlands 3 announcement may be imminent. Gearbox Software is holding a main theater show at PAX East 2019, teasing never-before-seen reveals at the event. So, that could possibly mean that one of these reveals could be Borderlands 3. Gearbox is holding its main theater show during the first day of PAX East on March 28th. In the Gearbox show description, quote, "We will have never-before-seen reveals, exclusives, and surprises, so don't miss out. But it also may be possible Borderlands 3 won't be revealed at this event. It's not out of the question."
Well, yeah, it's just
because
like it's like, well, I might almost get into a car accident today, but it's like it's almost like there really isn't. I mean, it's like when you say something may be imminent, you're basically saying you might as well just say they might announce it. They might not.
They might not.
I feel like there's just like extra steps in that sentence.
I
Like,
know.
it may be imminent. Like when you say it's like, oh, it may be imminent. Like when something is like imminent, it means it's going to happen.
Well, it's
inevitable. It's like, well, it may be inevitable.
Well, again, I pulled my source from PAX's own website that like showing the showcase for Borderlands, and it says exactly. It says what I said.
It definitely sounds within the realm of high possibility.
The quote, what I have there is the quote that I said, which is we will have a never before seen reveals, exclusives, and surprises, so don't miss out. It's one of those things where I'm just Borderlands 3. They keep teasing it. About 2 to 3 years ago, they said, "Hey, we're working on Borderlands or Borderlands 3, and we need developers." That's why they kind of like said they wanted open, like they pretty much sent out an open invite for people to work for them, and like slow and little by little, you've just been like getting tiny little teases. We haven't seen anything or anything like that, and really, if they announce Borderlands, like that would.
Can you imagine a battle royale game in the Borderlands universe?
Sign me up. sign me up. I will finally get into the Battle Royale. I will finally do it. Because, dude, I'm not a shooter, but I absolutely...
You could call it Border Royale or Battlelands. Or
No, it would be Battle... I would call it Battlelands if it was me.
And it could just be like you could just add it as a feature.
Yeah.
Like you could have a story, and then there would just... You would have, like, online play, and you would also have a Battle Royale. That would be a game where a Battle Royale mode would be amazing.
Exactly.
Like an open world Battle Royale game.
Boy.
You know what I mean? Like, where, like, it's like every man out for himself, and that's the focus of that mode, but it takes place in, like, a breathing world.
Yeah, and, in Pandora or whatever. Yeah, that would be rad. I would be all kinds of behind that.
Plus vehicles.
Oh God, yeah,
would be involved.
Oh yeah, I love Borderlands. Borderlands is so.
That's one of the main reasons I like Apex, because like the whole mod weapon system, it makes me give me that Borderlands feel where it's like every weapon is different in some way or can be potentially different than its base state.
I mean, honestly, if they announce Borderlands, even if it's just a trailer and we know nothing else after that, dude, that you will steal the show. You will steal the show. I would lose my mind, and then I will go, do you have a collector's edition? Great. Here's my money. Take it. After you take my money.
Fair enough.
Like, I love Borderlands.
That's how I feel about Ghost of Tsushima and Cyberpunk.
I never thought I would be a fan of a game like Borderlands, but like I remember when Borderlands
I played it on 360.
Borderlands 2 became free on PlayStation Plus, and I had Plus because I transferred from one old PS3 to a bigger hard drive. So I got Plus so I could do the cloud save. And everyone has told me, like, dude, you should play Borderlands 2. And I'm like, all right, fine. I booted up Borderlands 2. And, like, it is true. Handsome Jack is one of the best villains in video games. He's, so, like... Because the game opens up with him just teasing you, just making fun of you.
Oh, okay.
And then by the end of the game, you killing him is the most satisfying thing in the whole game.
I bet.
Oh, have you played Borderlands 2, haven't you?
No, I haven't. I played 1.
Oh, you gotta play 2, man.
All right. 2,
like, if you like 1...
I'll just get the Handsome collection.
There you go. That's what you should do. I have it myself. Like, I adore Borderlands 2.
I love the art style.
Oh, yes.
The music was good. I love they were kind of like one of the first games I remember where like their procedurally generated weapon system was like legit.
Yeah.
Like you were getting like a lot of different variety.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So yeah. But yeah, I'm excited. I would love to see what Gearbox has in store. And if they don't announce anything, but they announce some other cool stuff, sweet, I'm in. But if you want to steal the show, you just announce Borderlands 3, and even if it's a trailer,
they just walk out. Borderlands 3, walk away.
I mean, mind you,
no trailer, nothing.
No trailer. I will say, when they did that 2 years ago, I was hype. Now, like, we know they're working on it.
Sure.
You can't do that. You have to come out with something, even if it's like this, like what Bethesda did with Elder Scrolls 6, where it was just like a 1-minute trailer, just going, bam, it exists.
Yeah.
If you just show me a trailer of like a 1-minute trailer of like just like the look
just
of it,
characters,
like something. Anything.
Some person just sitting up on a rock and talking.
Or it's probably one of the psychos, just like like
a conversation between two psychos, and then they just get murked by someone, or something.
Like they start talking all of a sudden, like they get shot or like they get knocked out, and here's the Borderlands 3 logo just pops from out of nowhere. So
there's a lot of ways.
There's a lot of ways you could do it, but I love it. But yes, and then let's go from there. So yeah, that's all I got for the news. So yeah, there we go. So let's go ahead and go on to the main topic. Well, we're all here today. Anthem. Ooh, I have words to say about this game. So, first and foremost, I've played through it. Have you played through it?
I have not played through all of it, but I watched basically the game movie, and I did play it just to try it out. But like I said, I know the story because I didn't want to buy it in the first place. I didn't want to spend $60 on it because it wasn't the kind of game. Like, I was gonna wait. With games like that. I always wait for them to come out and see how they are. and it was not worth a full price for me because I knew I wouldn't play it after a point. It would just sit, and I would never use it.
All right. So yeah, but let's first let's talk about what's good about this game.
Sure.
So on the first thing I will definitely have to say is that this game, Anthem, is gorgeous. I know, like, it just seems like it's kind of the norm, but like this game is gorgeous. This game is
it's a very beautiful world that everything takes place in. Lots of good lighting and particle effects. 3D mapping is so smooth.
But like it's like in the open world, like the detail is absolutely ridiculous. Mm-hmm. It's like all of like the plants and the just the jungle aspect or jungle look of it.
Sure.
The waterfalls, like going underwater when you take your javelin and go underwater and you see all of like the water life and the wildlife. Like there's so much detail on all of the wildlife, all the animals and like the fish in the game, and just literally everything in the game is just looks amazing. Absolutely gorgeous. I'm honestly, like, sometimes I would just want to go ahead and like sit down and kind of just look around and just like look at it, and it's just gorgeous. Like the detail in the statues and everything. Like, my God, is it...
Well, after all the time that was spent making it, you would at least hope that it would look good.
Well, yeah, because like they spent like 6 years working on this game.
Yep.
So yeah, one of the so that's the graphics. The graphics looks absolutely amazing. The next thing is that one of the things that they actually do better than a lot of other loot shooters is the classes. So in this game, unlike in a game like Destiny, where you have Hunter, in Destiny you have Hunter, Titan, and Warlock, and whatever you choose, you have to play through the whole game like that. If you want to play as a different class, you have to start up a new game. Where in this, you can I want to be in the Storm Javelin, which pretty much the Storm Javelin, or the Iron Man suit, that's kind of the thing, is that the Storm Javelin, its whole thing is that it's able to float in one place, the longest out of all of them, and you can use elemental attacks, so you can like summon lightning and smite people with that, throw fireballs, set people on fire, ice them, shoot out like ice like spears at them, ice bullets, that kind of stuff at them. So your whole thing is that you're using elemental attacks along with using...
And my personal favorite was the Interceptor, because it was just like basically you're a human blender.
Yeah, so
it's like really close melee combat. You get like grenades and you'd like a throwing star, and it was fun combat.
The best way that I've described it is that you're pretty much playing like a literal Warframe. The Interceptor is so different to the others, where its whole thing is that you want to get up close. It's all about melee, as Blaze has said. You want to use melees and you want to get in close, and that's the whole thing, is that it's able to dodge a lot more than a lot of the other ones. The Colossus, which is this big tank, almost looks like a Hulkbuster. Its whole thing is that it has the most health out of all of the javelins, and you can throw up a literal shield, where unlike with the other ones, they just have like a generic, like a little force field around them. But with the Colossus, you throw up a shield to protect yourself, and then you can take more damage. And also the Colossus is the only javelin that can use a grenade launcher and a Gatling gun, which is really, really cool. And then the Ranger is kind of the all-around guy. He can fly more than a lot of the others, but not as much. It's kind of the normal one. I played as the Storm most of the time. And I will definitely have to say, like, flying through the world is so much fun.
Well, and again, it goes back to like the fact that the world looks really good. Like, flying around it is very satisfying. The mechanics of the flight are fun. They're responsive. It feels pretty realistic as far as having an Iron Man suit with a jetpack would be.
Yeah, or Superman, if you like. I like Superman, so
Yeah, I mean, but yeah, it definitely like they utilized that was like one of the main things about the game, was the ability to fly
pretty much
around.
get into an Iron Man suit and just fly around and stuff. Yeah. I just need a drink. But yeah, like all 4 of the different javelins feel very different to each other, and you can use you can use the javelins in your one playthrough. So you just get to decide which one you want to use during missions or contracts or stuff like that. So that's a really good thing, and really like it feels really nice when I first started playing and like choosing when I played as a Storm. My God, it was so cool, just like mowing down enemies, just like, oh, there's a horde, summon lightning, bam, or like throw fireballs at them, or oh, it was so fun to like start doing that, and like you feel powerful when you do that, and it's really nice when you do that. And then that's about it.
Yeah. I mean, and the other thing for me is like they have like all these guns in the game, kind of like, you know, it's like very Destiny-like.
Yeah, there are multiple guns.
But the thing is like they're almost useless. Like outside of adding range to someone who doesn't really have a ranged ability, like you really don't even need guns in that game because the abilities of your suit in most cases are more than enough. But even then, eventually it's just like there's not really much incentive. You don't really gain skills. You don't really have any alterations like throughout the game to whatever class you maybe play the most as. You know, you don't. You know, it's not like in Destiny where you unlock abilities as you go up in experience. And there's different trees so that, you know, you have different options and you could switch back and forth between them. That doesn't really exist at all.
So yeah, let's go into what's bad, because there's a lot. First, to go with the guns, as Blaze has been talking about, yeah, you do get guns, and you do get different guns. You have, like, machine guns, you have assault rifles, you have shotguns, you have all these different guns, but one of the things is that all of the guns pretty much look all of the same, and they feel all the same. There's not as many gun choices. You pretty much have, for me, I use the light machine gun. You only get 3 different choices of those guns, and that's it. And they don't even look different to each other. Even when you go into getting a masterwork gun, there is nothing special about the masterwork gun when it comes to its aesthetics. Outside of you get more like random rolls on it. So all of the guns feel pretty much the same or similar to each other. So you have that. Then, not only that, there is no stat tree for your character for it. So what I mean by that is when you're choosing whichever gun you want to use, you can see like if it goes up, if it goes down. But when it comes to the overall, like what are the stats of your javelin yourself, you don't know. You don't know at all when you change everything around to know what your stats look like for your javelin. And the difference is where I want to be a Storm, so what are the stats of the Storm when it comes to attack, defense, shield, all that kind of stuff, to a Colossus or anything like that. You don't know any of the differences between them. There is no stat tree, and the whole thing when it comes to Masterwork, it almost even doesn't matter when it comes to that.
It's fun to play, but it becomes just a grind, even in the missions. Because the story, which we'll get to, it's almost like an afterthought. Mm-hmm. Like I feel like that they would be. Like I feel like the developers or whoever, you know, whoever's decision it ended up being to put it out, and the fact that it wasn't even beta tested. Like they literally just put it out.
Yeah.
You know, it's like it's fun, but eventually there's no incentive to keep playing and grinding because there's not really a leveling aspect to it. Yeah, you might, you know, like you gain experience and there may be a level, but it's like, yeah, you maybe get better guns, but it doesn't feel like it's really like leading towards anything.
No.
So it's like, well, ultimately, what's the incentive? And if the core mechanics were, you know, constantly changing, then the story wouldn't even be that big of an issue because you would go back and play it. Like the story in Monster Hunter World isn't amazing. But the game itself is so
but I love the
gameplay.
Gameplay. Oh, I go back to Monster Hunter World for the gameplay.
For the story. It's almost like, I'm glad there's a story that adds more to it, but it's not even necessary because the core gameplay is so much fun that's what you're playing for.
Which, mind you, the load screens in this is absolutely ridiculous. Every single tiny little thing you do, load screens. You go into your forge to go ahead and look at your javelin, load screen. To get out of the forge, load screen. Go into a mission, load screen. Talk to a person, load screen. Like, there's a load screen for literally every single thing you do in this game. It doesn't matter, like, every single thing. And sometimes you're sitting there for like 5 minutes. Just doing nothing, waiting for the load screen to come up.
Take a breath.
I haven't even started yet.
Yeah, I know.
I haven't even started.
I know. I know it's hard. But we have to be coherent. So we just take a deep breath and complain about it like gentlemen. So, in addition to the fact that the load screens are another big issue, which as someone who didn't purchase the game, which I am now very thankful for, it wasn't as much of an issue for me. I did encounter a few of them, but when I was playing, I did a lot of free play. I didn't really care about it because I didn't buy it, so I played it by proxy. I actually just played like an hour or two of his copy just to kind of get a feel for it because, you know, unlike he made the sacrifice of buying the game for the purpose of the review, and I knew I didn't want it, and that's the thing. It's like I knew that you had it. And you would play through it, and I watched the game movie. I watched all the cutscenes. Basically, I watched the entirety of the game.
Yeah.
And the fact that everything could be boiled down into just under 3 hours is another, you know, inclination that there's barely any story to be had, and the fact that it's not necessarily like it's the worst thing ever.
No.
But for me, there's a lot of awesome concepts.
There's
a lot of really cool like literary concepts, a lot of cool features and ideas, and it's in a cool world where those ideas like really have a place. But the story, it's not that it's executed poorly, it's more like it's just uninspired. There's not really anything about the story that feels like that interesting. It's a very, you know, I'm not saying that it's just easy to come up with a groundbreaking story, because let's be honest, at this point in human history, almost everything's been done. It's really hard to come up with something that isn't taking things that already exist and just modifying them. Coming up with something truly new is almost impossible, because because between all of the different creations from the big to the small as far as popularity and what people make, there's barely anything left to really do. That's why reboots are so popular, and existing franchises like Marvel are taking from already existing creations, which is the Marvel universe. They're modifying it, but everything is based off of a pre-existing creation.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that's bad. And a great, amazing story can't be told in a good way through those means, but I feel like Anthem really had an opportunity to do something more. I don't know who wrote the story, and it's not, like I said, it's not a bad story. There are interesting characters in it, and you know, but there's also, it's just the amount of things that go against what would make it a good story are greater than what is actually there. So like in the beginning of the game.
Yeah, so let's talk about this story. So the whole premise of the game is, or like the story of the game is, it's pretty much you are a freelancer, and pretty much in the beginning of the game you are pretty much considered as heroes. You are there to protect the city from enemies and outsiders and stuff like that. But what happens is that you find out you have to go to the Heart of Rage, which is this pretty much area.
It's established in the beginning too.
Yeah,
it's kind of like one of those instances where you start in one place and then you end up there at the end symbolically, and that's kind of like what I think they tried to do. So yeah, like the main big battle that kind of starts everything off.
Yeah.
Is in the Heart of Rage, when you're with like basically the two main characters, or two of the three main characters that you deal with the most.
Yep. And you go to the Heart of Rage with your team, and that's your tutorial. That's how you learn how to play the game. Tutorial. Pretty much you learn that you need medkits in order to gain health, how to fly, and that's about it. They do not do a good job of like telling you like, oh, you have R1 and
well, yeah, because even though like in your heads-up display, everything has its button next to it, so you would know
what it is.
But it's like it wouldn't have been any more difficult to just have like prompt them to do that, or give them a way to just
give them a reason.
Yeah, like, put an enemy out there, be like, oh, use this,
yep.
or just so that they can see right away, like not only how to do it because it's literally just in front of your face, like as opposed to like you'll eventually figure it out because you'll just start pressing buttons.
Because you see.
But it could give you like a nice little controlled environment in which to experiment with it, or at least use it in a real world context in the confines of the game, so that how you may or may not want to use it, and be like, well, this is not and then you would be able to compare that. And I would even go so far as to say that every time you would use a new javelin, the first time you use it, it would do it again because it's different. Mm-hmm. And that way it would give you more, from the beginning you'd know like, okay, I really dig this. Like I only played as the Interceptor because it was the only one that was focused on melee combat. And not to say the other ones wouldn't be fun, but that's what I know I would default to.
Yeah, like I defaulted to the Storm.
Right.
And like
it's like in a fighting game. If I get a new fighting game, I play as every character at least once, because even if it's like, especially if it's in a series, I could have had a favorite character from the previous game, but if there's a new character or if they made changes, I may completely switch who my main is.
Yeah,
you know what I
mean? That makes sense. Again, like the tutorial
it's about the experimentation.
I agree, and like again, the tutorial they don't explain really anything really well, like what the. Like, why are you gathering... Like, you need to gather up materials in order to craft stuff, but the only reason is because you see a craft tab, you press it over, and it goes over. They don't explain what crafting is. They don't explain what your powers are, or anything like that, outside of, like, pulling up your menu, going over to, like, your journal or whatever.
Or looking in your controls.
Exactly, and that's, that's the only way you know. They don't... And so, like, fine...
Like, as an example, here's a great, something that Dead or Alive does. It literally shows you the controls when you pause the game during a fight. Like, it just has the controller up with little, like a little controller map. Mm-hmm. Like, literally, just anytime. So, like, no matter who you are, like, if you just came in on a game, you would literally know the basic functions.
Yeah.
Literally, they have the ability where in the opening menu screen of Dead or Alive 6, you just press the options button and it'll initiate a tutorial of the basic moves of the game, just the base, and it's like so. Like when I because I like being able to play with others, right? So like I would be like, here, just run through the tutorial. Literally takes less than a minute.
Yeah,
and it just shows you the basics, and then you can learn from there. Knowing it doesn't. You have to be given a foundation. I mean, in a game like Dark Souls, Bloodborne, you basically it's like you're on your own. You figure out how this game works. And you figure out how to do combos by yourself. We don't do tutorials. You knew that coming into this game. This game is phenomenal because of that challenge.
Yeah.
But in a game like Anthem, where it's a live service, you're online, it's competitive, you're not playing against anybody in Bloodborne or Dark Souls. You're literally just fighting the environment.
Yeah, but like Dark Souls sets it up so like, mind you, the story is not in like there is a story in the game of Dark Souls, but the story is in the background. The story's in the background. The reason why Dark Souls or Bloodborne, the Souls games are so popular and so phenomenal and so good is because of its challenging gameplay. That's why people keep coming back to it. Its
world it's very filled out.
Exactly.
And there's a lot of detail. There is a story there, but it's vague on purpose. Like it's set up in such a way where the vagueness of it and the very, nebulous nature, having to read through things to figure out what's going on. You want to do it because the world is so beautiful and like there's so much going on that it makes you curious enough to go out of your way to read text.
Yeah.
So that you can figure out what is actually going on.
Yeah.
Whereas in Anthem, as opposed to like a Dark Souls game, there's not as much dialogue. I mean, it's not non-existent, but you're not constantly conversing with people.
I mean, you are. You are. So
in Bloodborne, you're not.
Bloodborne, you're not. No. But like, so here's the thing. So this is made by BioWare. BioWare made
Mass Effect.
Amazing
Story.
Knights of the Old Republic, Dragon Age. These guys, BioWare is known for.
They've been like the story writers.
Yes, exactly. Masters of storytelling. Again, I will like Knights of the Old Republic is my favorite game in all of existence because of its own story and how it's told and how it's done and its gameplay, so on and so forth. So. Again, if I'm like, all right, BioWare can do this. That's why before...
Well, that's what I thought the saving grace was going to be initially. I was like, well, maybe, if the story's good enough, I can forgive certain aspects of the gameplay. Like Mass Effect 1. The gameplay wasn't amazing. The shooting wasn't amazing. It worked, but it's like the world and the story was so good. It's like it didn't even matter. It wasn't you weren't playing it for the combat.
Mm-hmm, but here's the problem with Anthem is that all of these characters that show up, you have...
That's what they do. They show up.
No, yeah, exactly. So, like, you have you have Prospero. Prospero annoys the crap out of me. Prospero is the merchant who sells you pretty much the microtransactions. He comes up...
That's a pun on prosperity?
Yes! I'm pretty freaking sure that it is! But you go ahead and you meet Prospero, and his whole thing, the first thing that comes up to you is like, oh, you're the freelancer, right? Oh, man, you know what you should do? You need the thunder and lightning. That's what you need to do. In order to win, you need to look the part, too. You want to make your javelin look cool.
Just picture the scene from Napoleon Dynamite where, like, the guy, Patrick Warburton with Rex Kwon Do, he's like, you got to discipline your image. Think I got where I am today because I dress like Peter Pan here? Like, that's basically Prospero, but in less colorful terms.
It's maddening because you get to know a bit about, like, and mind you, you talk to these characters and they all just vomit out exposition about their lives and what's happened to them, and that's fine. I have no problem. But it's like if you go out to a bar and just people start talking, like people know you. People at the bar know who you are. Like people at the bar know who you are, but you don't know them, and they come and talk to you
about
and
their
start
life story. Yeah.
Exactly. But they don't want to know you. They don't want. It's the whole like they are talking to you about them, but they don't give a crap about you or how does what they're talking about like interact with you. It's infuriating and. You have conversation choices in all BioWare games. Mass Effect, Coder, Dragon Age. You either have the wheel or you have a list. In this game, it's right and left. L2, R2. And here's the thing. There is no Paragon or Renegade system. There is no light side, dark side. There is no good, evil,
well, again,
blah, blah, blah.
It comes down to it's like there's a lot of cool concepts in the story. And I feel like, yeah, maybe if they would have had some sort of karma system or something like that, you're going to give yourself an aneurysm, bro.
But the problem is that when you make these conversation choices, they don't matter. The ones that you choose, the only reason that I give a crap... No, the only reason I give a crap about the choices that I make is because if you make a choice that the person likes, it boosts up your loyalty or reputation or whatever to the Arcanist.
And what is that? And what does that ultimately do?
You get extra stuff when you get crap in the game.
Yep.
Like, it doesn't do anything. It doesn't impact the story.
Even if you are gaining something, it's almost like ultimately it's like it doesn't make that much of a difference.
It doesn't impact the story at all. It doesn't. And it's like none of the characters that you meet are I don't connect to them. And that's the problem. I remember, like, for me, I could go. I haven't personally played Mass Effect. And I know that's something that I need to go.
I'm playing the first one
blasphemy on me. But I can say this: in Knights of the Old Republic, I remember Karth. I remember Bastila. I remember MK47. I remember so many different characters that I cared about. HK47. Thank you. Candor, or Mandalore. Like, there's so many characters that I remember from that game. I only remember maybe 2 to 3 in this game. So, there's that. The story, the twist in this game, I've never been more mad in a twist in a video game in my whole life.
It's because the twist was, I think, just done simply for its own sake. It didn't really add to the story, and I think without spoiling it, I think essentially what the twist does is they tried to create another element of of a character in the story in order to change things up. But then that particular character that's the sole reason for the twist never shows up after the second time you see him after the twist occurs.
No, he's like, the twist happens, and it makes no sense to why he does it, and the reasoning behind why he did what he did. And then the ending...
Or lack thereof.
Lack thereof. The ending also is as if it comes out of a freaking comedy without ruining everything. Or anything. I can't go into it because we're reviewing it, but... Oh, I've never been more mad at this story. The story is it boggles my mind. It just, like... I started this game and I wanted to like it. I started playing over and over and over. Like, I started playing and, like, at first I'm like, oh, this is great and this is good. But then as the game goes on, even, like, the characters I don't connect to. They're flat. They're all flat. And it sucks and I hate that. But let me move on to a few other things. I wish I could stop talking bad, but it's not. Not only is the story just flat, and I'm like, this is BioWare.
It's just uninspired. It's uninspired.
It's uninspired, and I don't know. But anyway, a few other things is I have been the game has glitched out on me multiple times where. I would go into a mission and an invisible door would lock up behind me and I would be the last person and I cannot pass into the rest of the part of the mission because I'm locked behind this door and you cannot pass it. Mm-hmm. Glitches in the game. There have been, let's see, I'm looking at my notes. Yeah, the game has glitched in multiple parts in both cinematics, where I wouldn't even show up in the cinematics, or has glitched so much that the game froze on me. And not only has the game glitched on me, Anthem has also hard crashed twice on me. Hard crashed twice. Meaning that, like, and there have been reports on this, because I played them on PS4, the game has crashed on other people's systems so much that it has actually bricked their systems. Now, mind you, the update from EA, and this is on their Twitter account, is that they are looking into this right now, and if that happens, you definitely do report it through the system, and then they have a forum open, so that way you can explain to them, like, what happened, how that happened, what mission you were doing, that kind of stuff. So there was that, along with one of the things that also with it, this is a multiplayer game. So when you are playing with other people in the game, when there's story happening while you're playing. You're being told, like, why you're there and that kind of stuff. But some of the people in your team will go further on ahead, and if they go too far ahead, there will then be a icon or a big huge message that's saying you will be teleported to the mission in 28, 27, 26, 25, counting down seconds. So now you're rushing. You're like, I need to get over there, and if you don't make it, the game will go into a loading screen because of course. And then you will show up there, and then it will cut out whatever you were listening to, and then start up with where your teammates are. So there's parts in the game that, like, if you want to listen to the story, if you want to listen to people talk to, the people in this, Faye or the characters I mentioned, like Faye or Owen or Halleck or any of these guys talk to you. You can't, because if the rest of your teammates go off, and mind you, you play publicly. That's the way the game is built to do. If they go off and they're just trying to get them through the mission or whatever it is, you will teleport out of it to there. Sometimes, if you die and you respawn, you will be locked behind a door. So the game glitches out on itself too. This game, I went into this game and I heard about, this is from EA, and
this is very cathartic for him.
Yes. I I went to this game to be as open-minded and going like, all right, it's EA. I know this is EA, and I know it's all that, but
it was a very promising game.
Yeah, and even I was like, this looks cool. This looks cool. And
not to mention, like, you know, all the differences between, like, you know, the original trailer, you know, like, and there's comparison videos that you can look up, but yeah, it's like from the original trailer in 2017, I believe it was, at E3, to its actual release, there's stuff that's literally just not even there.
Nope.
There's characters that aren't involved. The look is very different. The world interaction is very different. It's definitely not as living as they promised. But then again, it's also a trailer. It's like, you know, that's not. There's never a guarantee that a trailer.
But they said it was in game.
Right.
It's in game engine.
Right.
This it's not a trailer. They developed it like this.
The fact that they stated that
they developed it like that. It's mind boggling. Like, fine. Like, I know that this isn't the first time that this has happened to us. Like, look at Aliens Colonial Marines, from the E3 trailer to the game, to the actual game. Even Watch Dogs, what we saw at E3 compared to that, like, you know, like, there was much more dynamic rain and dynamic weather in the trailer, where in the game itself, it really wasn't there. Like, this isn't the first time we've seen this, but this is such a jarring difference between the E3 trailer and what we get. It's mind-boggling. And
the other main thing that, like, is the whole banning thing. Like, they, as far as, like, the way that the game works, right? So, I forget his name, but there was a higher profile Twitch streamer who was breached, and this is not the only guy. He's just, you know, we know about him because of his size as far as influence. And he was playing Anthem, and it's like, not only, and he was banned for, like, going around because he found a better way to obtain gear by just going around and opening chests. Essentially, it boils down to he was going around and just opening chests to get good gear, and he was banned for taking advantage of the economy, which doesn't exist because there's no economy in a game where you don't trade with players, there's no PvP, and nothing you get gives you an advantage over anybody else because there's no PvP and you don't trade with players.
And then the other thing is that I think even in the same, I think I know who you're talking about.
Yeah,
he even said that, I believe, and again, if I'm wrong, I apologize, so I could be wrong, but from what I remember is that he even said, I want to show this so that way EA knows about this and they can fix this.
Yeah, and even if that wasn't the case, he wasn't hacking, he wasn't cheating, there was nothing he was doing that wasn't, like, he was playing within the established parameters of the development of that game. It's not his fault that, like, the chest he was using at a higher loot drop rate or whatever it was, where he was just doing that because it was a faster, more efficient way to get better gear than to actually play through the story and grind. But there's nothing wrong with what he did. He was basically banned for playing the game in the way that he wanted to play it. And you're basically punishing one of the few people who's big enough to actually still bring people to your game and you're basically not only killing off your PR that you don't have to pay for, but you're literally punishing a player for playing the game within the rules and parameters of what you yourself developed. And that's like, how can you do that? Like he wasn't doing anything wrong. You just don't like the fact that he may have been exploiting the economy by just going, like, those chests are out in the world to be open. There's what if that's how I like to play? I just want to go open all the chests. I don't care about anything else. You should allow people to play the game in any way they see fit, so long as they are not gaining any advantages through hacking or whatever.
God, okay. Yeah.
And it's like, you can't punish someone for playing the game the way they want to play it if they're not doing anything, like, wrong, as far, like, they're not breaking the game. They're not doing anything that, like I said, it's not a game where you can gain an advantage over anybody else, in the sense that you only benefit the team you'd be on by having better equipment, because it's team-based. If it was PvP, that would be a different story.
Well, another thing is that, like, what I do have is that Anthem, BioWare has addressed, these are concerns when the game first came out. Ben Ervo described in an Anthem subreddit that coming inscriptions. So what inscriptions are, I guess, are the rolls that you get on guns. Level 30 tables. When you wanted to make masterwork weapons, you don't have enough in-game money even when you get the Legion of Dawn edition, or you get it early from EA Origin or anything like that. Then also playing the game, you do not have enough to get 25 masterwork embers in order to make one singular masterwork gun. Now, mind you, you need 25 in order to do that. It is now dropped to 15 currently. Like, that is how it is right now. Because this patch went live on February 28th or March 1st, one of the two, pretty much between the 2 days. And then not only when you hit about level 30, the level 30 drop tables, before this patch, you were getting common and uncommon guns, which are pretty much the ones you get when you first start the game. Now, when you hit about the level 30 level tables, you are now starting to get rare and higher levels. But before then, you were getting literally nothing. Now, this, like, I could go ahead and be like, you know what, the story is lackluster, fine, and I could put up with that. If I didn't have to review this game, I would have dropped this game, and there's one reason, and one reason alone, and it's everywhere. In the game, you get to a point where you have to go find these 4 tombs of the Legion of Dawn, which is like the most powerful.
It's like the big bad like mech suit that was like basically predates all of the modern ones, and it was like the original best that has never been passed.
In order to open up these tombs, you get a grind wall. What you have to do is that you have to get X amount of melee kills, X amount of kills in ultimates, gather this many, get this many treasure chests, find this many things, find this many that, do this many things, so on and so forth, over and over and over again.
And it's like the tedium of doing those things wouldn't be as bad if the story was good.
It's a grind. The game just stops. Some games actually have you have to hit a specific level in order to move on.
Well, it's like a game, like as another example for like Dark Souls or Bloodborne. Like, you might hit a wall because there's enemy that you just aren't powerful enough to defeat. But the thing is, grinding doesn't feel like grinding in that game. Mm-hmm. You know, like when you go around, you're gaining experience because you want to be able to come back with more power to face a certain enemy. But the world is so open and exploratory that you could do that while go to a different part of the game and have fun there, then come back and you know, you're not just not being able to progress in the game because you literally, it's like, we know for a fact that at this point in the game you will not be able to progress beyond this point until you just go around grinding, which is not fun because it's not the kind of world where the story makes up for the fact that you have to go around and do it. It doesn't work it into the narrative, or it's not in a world where, you know, simply because it's a fun world to explore, but other than the few things that you can pick up, like the natural resources and the chests, it's like there's not really too much of an incentive to really explore.
No, but the thing is, the game stops. The game straight up and down stops. You cannot progress until you open these 4 tombs. Fine. I spent 2 days trying to go ahead and do that. I wanted to stop playing so badly because this was just an annoying grind. Fine, I finally did it. Was able to open the first tomb. Awesome, sweet. So I go ahead, open up the tomb, bam, and I'm like, alright, well, there has to be a reason why I had to do all this stuff. Maybe I'll get some rad armor, like a rad armor set. Maybe like if you open up these 4 tombs, I'll get a rad armor set so that way I can, like, you know, whether if it's cosmetic or not, like, you know, I get, you know, different, like, maybe more attack, more defense, or even if you just, hey, I look like I came from the Legion of Dawn, or, like, new armor set or something. So you go ahead, and there's the tomb, you open it up, and, like, oh, there's the sarcophagus, doop-a-doop-a-doop-a-doop, and you open it, and what you get is literally nothing! You get nothing! You open up a common and uncommon crap, which is normal stuff that you get.
Well, I guess at the end of the day, there's a reason that you turn the game back in.
It's just a literal grind wall, and you get nothing from doing it. Nothing!
Other than getting past that point.
Because you have to!
Yeah.
Because you have to! It just infuriates me. It seems like EA just showed up and like they were like, oh, it's gonna be done in 5 hours or less. Oh, we need to make it longer. Put this here.
Well, that's what I was saying earlier. You know, like when I watched the movie of the game footage, the fact that you could, like, you know, if you squeezed all of the dialogue and cutscenes into one, you know, without like the stuff in between, that it doesn't have narrative in it, because some of the narrative is in the gameplay, like while you're moving around, that kind of a thing. And that's a great way, you know, that's like, you know, that's not a bad way to do things, But if you can squeeze it all in under 3 hours, there's virtually nothing to the game outside of the fact that you have to, artificially lengthen the game through the tedium of missions like that. And that basically, it's almost an admission that there isn't enough to your game to have it be a, feature-length game. I don't know if that's a term. But you know what I mean.
Yeah, I do.
You've
created a grind wall because you needed to have more time in the game.
You need to extend you need to basically both extend the game's length and give more incentive to keep playing it for the sake of the story.
Yep. One last thing. You have these things called strongholds in the game, which are kind of like part of the end game. This is what happens. So you beat the game. There's one stronghold open to you, and then when you beat the game, you get 2 more. You get 3 strongholds, okay? One of them, you've actually played in the beta. You get access to it in the beta. And actually, even in the game itself, you've already beaten it. It's like the Tigerian Mines or whatever. You do that one. The other two that you unlock are literally you're replaying missions from the game that you've already done, but you're not actually replaying the missions. The second one is that you have to fight pretty much a Scar tank, but instead of but in this time in the stronghold, it has a shield instead. And then the last one, you go back to the Heart of Rage. All you do is that you fight the final boss all over again. So the 3 strongholds are just reusing assets of missions that you've already completed for strongholds. And these aren't even the raids. These aren't even considered raids in this game. There's none.
Yeah, that was one thing I was like, because like as opposed to a game like Destiny where they have, these raids that are designed around, having a team. They're not something usually you could do by yourself. But in the story itself, you're not really playing online with anybody. So it's and even after it's like that was one thing I felt like I can't believe that I really didn't see in the free play, like the open world was, there's like world events and missions that'll pop up, but they amount to nothing more than like a skirmish here and there with, and another thing is the difficulties in the game, like as far as, the ability to defeat enemies is not like, constantly having a new enemy or modifications of an existing enemy, which, I get that. Like Destiny does, There's different versions of things. And what they do is they just literally amp up their health and...
They become bullet sponges.
Yeah.
And
so
there's multiple
it's not
enemies.
them getting harder, it's just them taking longer to kill.
It's just, you have multiple enemies, especially these massive, huge hulking things called Titans. They literally are just bullet sponges, and I hate it. Wasn't even worth using my gun. You know what I did? I threw fireballs and smited lightning at these Titans.
It wouldn't have been so bad if that's like as an example with like Monster Hunter World. Like you always have the opportunity to like engage in a different form of combat if you land on them and you're like crawling on them, or if you hit certain areas of them and they change up their strategy and it forces you to change your strategy as a result. That's what a challenge is when your strategy is bested by the game's initial strategy. And then if you change, and then if it changes with you, that's what I see as like being good AI.
It's just like I don't mind mowing down enemies. I have no problem doing that because
but I have other games I would play if I want to just mow down enemies.
Exactly.
Like it's like I'll play Bulletstorm or something. Where it's like it's supposed to be over the top, and you're just literally just blasting through stuff, and that's the fun of the game. But it's like this game, it was touted to be much more than just what it ended up being as far as the gameplay is concerned.
Yep.
In terms of simply, you get past the initial, this is really fun and to play, and it's just like, okay, like after, your 50-odd, little skirmish, which is essentially all the story boils down to, like in actual gameplay, and, some exploration as well. And not to say that you, like, again, there's always a way to do something well. Like, that formula in and of itself isn't bad, but it depends on how it's executed.
Yeah.
So, in Anthem, it's really not executed in a way, like I said, to give you incentive to want to keep coming back to play, in addition to the actual, like, ridiculous problems, like the whole banning, the fact that it's bricking systems with the new update. That's just like ridiculous. That's like the worst things can get. Like when your game or by proxy your game through updates are basically bricking, like making systems like reboot and not turn back. Like you're basically taking away.
Well, mind you, there have been workarounds around the bricking, so that's a good thing.
But the fact is,
that the system crashes, the system crashes.
You shouldn't have to work around bricking your system.
No, I understand that, or the system's hard crash. I agree. My system, as I said,
your game could be the best game ever, but that would still be unacceptable.
Oh, I know. Like again, my system hard crashed twice.
It becomes less of a I'm not really sure if I'm into the game, and it's like no, I'm not even going to go near something that might potentially ruin. I won't be able to play anything else because I decided to play this game that I'm not even sure about.
Exactly. But oh man, but let's go ahead and go into our final verdicts. For me, look. When you choose your javelin and when you get into that suit, it feels so nice to fly around and go around and do whatever it is. For me, I was a storm, so like summoning lightning and shooting fireballs and doing all this stuff, and it just makes you feel powerful. It feels really cool when you're flying around and doing all that stuff. The game looks gorgeous. It's absolutely like breathtaking, but with its just flat story, flat characters, the twist pisses me off, the ending pisses me off, the system crashing on me, glitches happening where you can't progress through, a freaking grind wall where you can't progress through the game, and the only reason it's there is so that way to extend the length of the freaking game!
Well, and the other thing is...
What?
As far as, I can calm you down because I have something to say.
Oh, good.
You sit there and you relax.
Fine, I'll sit here.
Because despite the volume at which you say something, its meaning is still as potent.
Good.
With less volume.
Okay.
For those of you out there, fun fact, don't yell if you want attention. Whisper. People will pay attention. But only thing I want to say is like when I was watching through like the cutscenes, because I was curious, like the namesake of the game, Anthem, and the whole idea, and this really isn't spoiling anything because there really isn't anything to spoil. As I will go into, you'll understand what I mean when I say that. There's a very large lack of background story in this game. But like the whole idea behind the Anthem is that there's this thing like called the Anthem of Creation, and it's essentially, from what there's no real detail. It's basically this mystical MacGuffin force that exists as the most powerful. It's a force of creation and destruction.
The best way I can explain it is like it's like God.
But it's not really, because apparently it can be harnessed. And no, omnipotent. It's not a being.
Yeah,
it's like a force.
It's a force.
It's an omnipotent. It's like the force. Let's say it's the force for.
There you go.
But it's beyond the force, and apparently it's the force of creation. It's basically like if you're familiar with the legendarium Lord of the Rings, like the song of creation that brought the world into existence.
Yeah.
It's essentially that.
Yeah.
And I only bring it up because when you boil the game down to what is the main point of the game is like the Anthem is like this thing that basically like if someone hears it through means that I still don't understand. I don't know under what conditions you can hear the Anthem when you can't, because literally like there was a period where Faye heard the Anthem while the others she was with couldn't. So I don't know if you have to be a specific type of person. The villain, the monitor, also heard the Anthem, and that's the whole reason he's doing what he's doing is so he can literally harness the Anthem's power and basically become a god. Mm-hmm. So if there is a means by which to, and that's essentially like near the end, like that's his main goal is to just acquire that power to basically have that power and rule everything, which. Even though that's a generic motive in and of itself and really has like no real interesting aspect to it.
Yeah.
It's never really like anybody who hears it like will almost go mad in the sense that they become obsessed with the Anthem, like wanting to hear it again. Like there's an instance in which, we're in like the climax here without spoiling. Like Faye's basically like, if I, like they're going into basically a losing battle. Like we're probably going to die if we do this. And, it's like, but the thing is, and she said along the lines of, despite all of these things that have happened, all my relationships, the thing I'm going to miss the most when I die is I won't be able to hear the Anthem again. And she, like, is cognizant of the fact that that's, like, why do I feel that, it's like, but it's like, it's made out to be, like, the most important aspect of the game as far as, like, the main story is concerned. It's the reason everything is happening, but you really don't get any information about it.
Nope.
I mean, and I do understand keeping a force like that somewhat mysterious because you know some things are like it's just the way it is. But if it's something that can be harnessed, there should be more details about what it is, how like where it comes. Because if it was just some omnipotent force that was uncontrollable, then okay, I get like people just don't understand it. It's just the way it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. But if it's something that the game basically pretty much confirms can to a degree be physically harnessed in some way to be used through a will, then there definitely should be more explained about how that functions in regards to the story because it's the main part. It's the main villain's motive.
Yeah.
And like the whole Legion of Dawn thing, like they did, they kind of had a decent amount of history with that and how badass it was.
Yep.
But the Anthem, which is the end-all, be-all, magical MacGuffin that ties the entire story together and the titular, namesake of the game, but it's the least explained thing.
Yep. There's far too many things that are not explained. Which...
Like, they try to throw a lot of concepts that could be good if they were done well. Like, if they were explained more clearly or the pacing would have been better or it was introduced in a more provocative way, but that's not done.
Nope.
So what you get is like, it's not like the story doesn't make sense. It does, but it's just like, there's a lot of stuff that just comes in and then is like never, it's like all these subplots and points that never really make any real impact in the game or, are only there to try to add character development, which really doesn't occur.
Nope.
Because there's not enough of a story for true character development to occur.
Yep. And any of the character development that does happen, it makes no sense. But
and it feels like artificial too.
Exactly.
It's just like they'll just start adding It's like like the main twist being a prime example. They'll just start adding personality quirks.
I know.
And things to give you the illusion that these characters are growing with each other. You start off with them having a past and having animosity towards each other, like some of the main characters, and it's only by the end that is resolved because they're forced to work together.
I don't know, but anyway, the final verdict that I give, as I said, the game is when you first start off and you fly in the mech suit and Javelin, it's really fun. It's a gorgeous game, but there's far too many problems. There's glitches. Your game hard crashes. The story is extremely flat. The characters are extremely flat. Any of the character progression makes no sense to me. I can't do this. My final verdict to Anthem is a 2 out of 5.
Yeah, I would have to go with about the same. I would give it a 2 out of 5. And for me, it basically comes down to that there are some aspects of the game, like mainly visually and like the ideas. Some of the mechanics are commendable and they are fun to play with. I'm not gonna. I can't give it a 1 out of 5 or a 0 because it doesn't completely not.
When it works, it works.
When it works, it's great. But the thing is, that isn't enough to get it any higher than a 2 because there's nothing else beyond that aspect that would keep me coming back to keep playing it.
Mm-hmm.
And I am somewhat biased because I don't play a lot of online games in general, and I'm not really into I play them once in a while when I have the itch to play a good an online shooter or something. Sometimes it's just that's I feel like playing that, but more often than not, that's not the type of game I spend most of my time in. But even with that, it's there's not enough incentive to bring me back into the game outside of the few times I had fun playing it, but eventually that will wear off because that's all there is to it.
Mm-hmm.
That's why the core mechanic of a game, how it plays, is the most important
in an MMO,
thing.
Especially in that,
in any game.
Yeah, no,
it's the most important thing. Because, unless you're playing a Telltale game where you go into it knowing it's just basically narrative with some quick time
events. Then that has to be the focus. That has to be the strong point.
Right, that is the gameplay, and that's the core mechanic, is
Yeah.
that storytelling aspect. And so if your core mechanic isn't solid, your game will ultimately fail as a result, because it all comes down to how what keeps you wanting to play this game.
Yeah.
And if there's not enough story, and the core mechanic is fun, but not varied enough, or doesn't change over time to enough of a degree to give you more enjoyment as you progress through the story, then it's going to be a failure. Eventually, it won't, maybe not a failure, but you'll stop playing it. You'll eventually get bored of it. It'll sit on your shelf, and you're going to trade it in.
Yeah.
You know.
So final verdict.
Yeah, 2 out of 5.
Yep. Well, yeah, that's God. I don't know. I'm very scared for BioWare.
2. You know, and I find it funny because you know what? At the end of the day, there's only let's give it 2 javelins out of 5 because those are the only 2 you're going to end up using, which are the Storm and the Interceptor.
Yeah,
those are not that the others aren't cool, but if you have, the few times I have seen people online as well as him, that's what people.
That's all you see.
It's basically
I'll see a Colossus every so often,
and that's probably just someone doing it just to stir up the tedium of playing. Because basically, the Storm is the ultimate long range, weapon.
Yup.
And the Interceptor is the ultimate, close range weapon.
And the Ranger is nah.
And there's nothing special. What's the special ability?
You're playing Call of Duty.
Alright.
So I mean, it's that's really it. It's crazy. I don't know. I really don't even know. It's just I'm scared for BioWare. I'm honestly scared for BioWare.
But I've seen I thought about that too. But I've also seen stuff where it says EA has said that this is not a make or break game for BioWare, but I don't know. But this is also the thing. Anthem is definitely still a long-term plan of theirs because they wouldn't be going to all these lengths what they're. I don't know if it's going to become something better because that's possible, but it's they are screwing up so quickly and doing such it's getting so bad with especially the bricking the systems, the banning of players, the initial problems upon its release and everything else, and it's even if it were a case of maybe No Man's Sky, where ultimately it did become a better product and closer to what was initially promised. But they weren't making the kind of mistakes that are being made here.
No, but even then, Sony PlayStation, because they're the publisher.
Yeah, Sony literally.
They just went. You just have to. But they also went. You got to keep working on this, and you got to fix this. We're gonna we gave you have to.
I read Sony's offering refunds for Anthem, or is they're going to be because they're just it's such a bad thing.
I don't trust EA to go ahead and give
when Sony comes in is we're gonna do this because we don't want to lose our clientele through your game essentially. What if someone got a PS4 to play Anthem and they're well, this is what the PS4 is all about. This is trash. It can easily be bricked. This is trash. There's a lot of marketing that goes into the fact that this title being so big and such a letdown, is going to be taken into consideration by Sony.
I can't believe this is coming from BioWare, and this just breaks my heart. And
I don't know who's working on it though. That's the thing. For all we know, the people that made Mass Effect great aren't.
No, this is the A team.
Oh.
This is the A team. These are the guys who made Mass Effect.
Yeah.
This is the A team.
Oh. But it's also this. I mean, I'm not trying to make excuses. Just devil's advocate. Maybe they were under conditions in which they weren't able to make a good game in the time frame, or with the resources.
They did have developmental problems, and honestly, because there's far too many things.
Because if the person paying you to do something gives you bad ideas and doesn't budge, and it's well, that's my paycheck. I'm going to do this because it's my job.
And this game honestly just shows how games as a service are not working. It's just not. And I really hope that BioWare can come out on top on this. I'm not from this game. I don't know what they can do, but
come out with another good Mass Effect,
or literally something else. I don't know, but
dude,
they spent 6 years on this,
and it sold half as much as Mass Effect Andromeda. Half as much. And this shut down immediately after release.
I know, and this only sold.
It sold a tenth of Destiny 1.
10% of Destiny 1.
Yeah.
But
that's only because of all the issues that were right away there. It wasn't because it was so highly anticipated.
Yeah, but mind you, the market has now been saturated with these loot shooters now too. So I feel that it's too late. They made this game back in 2013 when that was the hype, and they spent 6 years on this, and Oh, I'm scared for BioWare. I don't know. I know this is a bit longer than normal, but my God, I don't know. I'm so I don't even know. I don't even have words. And
I think we pretty much touched on everything important. There's
not
too much else to be said.
No, we did. Again, I'm worried about BioWare. I really
I do. Yeah,
I do not want to see. I do not want to see
BioWare
BioWare go the way of Visceral Games and all of the other.
Everybody EA is destroyed because they didn't meet their bottom line.
Exactly. So, and I'm scared. And again, I can't.
But I suppose we could always have hope that because the BioWare team, there's a lot of talented people. Like, even if EA were to try to do something, they could open their own studio. It's kind of like what Bungie did. You know, they opened their own thing.
But who knows? Who knows?
Only time will tell.
Yeah. But anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching. I know this is a bit longer, but we had to get through all of unpacking Anthem because, oh boy, it's a Pandora's box of a game. But guys, thank you so much for watching. We always do appreciate you guys watching. If you haven't already, please subscribe to our channel, which is youtube.com/Brotherhood of Geeks. If you haven't subscribed already, go ahead and subscribe. And if you haven't already, press the bell icon next to subscribe. Whenever we put up a video, that lets you know that we have put up a video. Also, follow us on Facebook, which is facebook.com/The Brotherhood of Geeks. You can also follow me and the channel on Twitter, which is at Dualshock'd BOG. That's the name of this PlayStation podcast, Dualshock'd BOG. And then you can also watch us live when we stream on Twitch, which is twitch.tv/Brotherhood of Geeks. Anything else from you, Blaze?
No, I think I've said my piece.
Oh, man. But
hey, Devil May Cry 5 is right around the corner.
Yeah, I can play that and be happy. Please don't suck.
No, there's no way.
No way? Okay.
Capcom has been on such a good roll.
Capcom has been on a good roll recently.
DOA 6, DMC 5,
Monster Hunter
World.
Oh, man. That was almost my game of the year before God of War. Oh, man. That was good last year. Good game. So, I do have faith in Capcom.
So, we have stuff to look forward to.
We do have
it
stuff.
Should wash the bad taste out of our mouth.
Yes, and there's tons of other games that you could definitely play. I'm scared for BioWare. That's all I have to say. Guys, thank you so much for watching. I'm Brett J. Rasmussen. That's Guru Blaz. And as always, live to play together. We'll see you guys next time.